deal. Okay, and something we touched on earlier in the program. I said I was going to bring up, and I think now is probably a good time to do it to close the show. As we remember Brian, but I got a call from Cottage Grove announcer Ben Deathridge, and Ben, when it comes to sprint cars,
he's a guru.
He is. He's an encyclopedia. He's a wealth of knowledge. And it was not long after I had my cup of coffee and read the news about Brian passing, and Ben and I both shared some thoughts on the situation, and one of the things that came up in our conversation was race car safety. Okay. One of the questions that one of the topics we got onto was how can you make a sprint car or a midget chassis safer? They haven't changed. I mean, really, they with the addition of down tubes in the late '80s, early '90s.
Well, that and the crossbar and stuff like that on the Halo. We were just talking and stuff.
But here's the thing: how do you? You can't put an X in the top of the car to prevent.
Well, they tried that.
But the drivers can't get out in certain situations. I mean, there's not a whole lot of. I mean, what do you do for you guys that are sprint car fans out there that watch, drive, work on, or just sprint car fans? I want to hear from you guys either tonight or next week. How can you make a sprint car safer? How do you prevent something like what happened to Brian in a midget, which is basically a scaled down sprint car chassis? What I mean, let's hear what some of you can put a driver in the best gear in the world, and in a Hans device, given what happened to Brian, isn't going to do a whole lot when you consider the impact and the direction it came from.
Right.
Okay. What do you do to one of those types of race cars to make them safer?
Well, and that's the thing too, is that
you're really limited. You really truly are limited with those cars. The cockpits are so tiny, something gets in. There's not a whole lot of room around you. If you take a shot like when we see the results, we've seen it. We're talking about it now.
Well, like we were talking earlier, is that they did the test. They laid it on the side. They, did it at 10 feet, I think 25 feet, 50 feet, and 100 feet, and simulated, all scenarios of, 10, 30, 100-mile-an-hour crashes or whatever, in every aspect about it. And that's what I was talking about, the 6 inches. You literally, when you're sitting in these cars, even like a midget, right?
6 inches
is nothing, man.
Nothing.
What do you do?
So here, and I'll throw something out there. This is kind of something we talked about, and tell me your thoughts on this. We talked about construction of the sprint car, construction of the midget type race cars. Okay, we saw a change in super modifieds on the asphalt with the wings and the big blocks that are tilted over, and all
on the left hand side of the car and everything else. Yeah.
We saw a change. You go back, that's been, I don't know, 10, 12 years ago, we saw a change where they went more to a NHRA style cockpit for the driver. Now, can you change a sprint car in that type of capacity without changing the sprint car too much to lose your fan base? I mean, because that truly would change.
Okay, this is my theory on it. You talk about concussion of rollover, hitting the wall like he did. Without having that wing on there, you take a lot of that impact resistant out of the car.
Well, who's in a midget? Most midgets, there are a couple series that do run wings. Most of them don't.
Right, but I mean, you're taking that concept of having a wing out of the category, and you're having the blunt force on that chassis.
All that energy goes in the cockpit through the driver.
So, especially when they start flipping forward the way he did, you have all that momentum and stuff because you have the motor up there, and then you have the fuel behind you that is sloshing. So every time it goes up and over, it's just a pendulum. It just keeps going and going and going.
When you see a midget wreck, they're even more violent than sprint car wrecks.
It's just stupid.
It's a smaller car. The rotations are faster. The the not the RPMs, but the G-force is higher. And when you're in one of those little cars and you're wide open, you get sideways and start flipping, they flip forever. They roll forever. And the G-force, being that car spinning so fast as it barrel rolls, is greater than a sprint car. And I'm telling you right now, I certainly wouldn't want to have that experience.
So how to fix that? You asked my opinion on how to fix that. Well, I don't know necessarily if you can. I mean,
That's what I'm saying. I don't know if you can change those cars enough to make them.
Well, I remember them sitting there talking about side impact airbags and all this type of stuff and blah 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 blah. Well, they did a test. I believe it was Impact when Bill Simpson still owned it, and they did a test and stuff with a bunch of.
Bill Simpson still owns Simpson.
No. He sold Simpson and started Impact Racing.
Right.
But when he had Impact, 'cause I don't think he owns Impact anymore either. I could do some research on that, but anyways, when he was at Impact, he did some research, and this has been some 10 years ago or whatever, and I think you could see it on YouTube or online or something like that. But they did side curtain airbags and driver airbag type things, sort of like that. And what it is just a cylinder tube, but it comes down almost like a pillow type deal. The problem with that is you get on some of these rough tracks.
Exactly.
What indicates an impact? Okay, well, do you bounce the right rear off of the wall? Well, then you can still keep going because it doesn't break. It doesn't bend the axle tube.
That's definitely not a safe option.
And that's the thing is that's what they found out, and everybody's trying to get into the safer mode. What?
Well, and here's another thing too. We've got about 9 minutes left in the program. Here's something else I thought. Now we know the tradition and the history of the Belleville Nationals.
Mm-hmm.
That's a big event. Midget cars on half-mile tracks.
Way too big.
Absolutely,
way too big.
I'll say that's my personal opinion on it. I think that track is far too big for that type of race car. I don't think they should be anything. A midget shouldn't be on anything bigger than maybe a third mile.
I think Willamette is probably the biggest.
Absolutely.
Because you're still carrying.
Well, and we saw years ago when the Arnold still had Willamette, where was a bad midget wreck there. I mean, and I say bad, I'm talking the guy rolled like 11 times, ended up in the Salem hospital. I happened to live in Salem and was downtown and saw that car sitting on the trailer and saw the damage that was done. He started flipping in turn 3 and flipped around turns 3 and 4 and rolled almost onto the front stretch. The car was destroyed. The driver was beat up. He never raced again.
See, that's when
the track wasn't even as big as it is now.
Yeah,
midgets on half miles. I think is a bad idea.
I don't know if you remember, where the pond's at and everything else. I want to say it was a yellow car, or yellow or orange, or whatever like that. He collected years ago where we used to be able to come on to
turn one.
Yep. We used to come onto the track and go into the pits. He collected that Uke tire with the right rear and just up and over the wall, down the embankment, into the pond, and that was a sprint car.
Mm-hmm.
That was a wing sprint car.
Right.
And they take a lot of force. They take that wing takes a lot of blunt and takes a lot of the energy out. You start getting in these midgets or
non-wing sprint cars, and all the energy goes through the driver in the cockpit.
Yeah, it's like where do you start? Speaking of all of that, I think that's going to be another. I think that we should do some research on that, just because to find out.
I mean, the midgets they run Eldora. They run Eldora.
Yeah. Maybe get a midget manufacturer on. We can, we can do that, and I mean, we got tons of contacts. Come on,
we can touch base with Bob East.
Yeah, there you go.
I mean, who better to talk to about that? The midget cars than him.
That's right.
We'll let's work on that. Let's try to get him. We'll try to get him on the line and see what we can do here. One of our upcoming shows and see if we can't talk with him, because I'd like to hear that. How do you make one of those cars, race cars safer? What do you do?
And that's a thing too. I don't know, but
so
yeah. Well, let's get into the last couple of commercials or whatever, and we'll sign off. We appreciate you guys listening to us, and wow,
absolutely.
Again, our sympathies and
thoughts, condolences, prayers out to the Clausen family.
Absolutely.
You guys, the racers, keep in your prayers as well. And like I said, don't be afraid to tell somebody next to you, your close family, your racing family. Don't be afraid to say I love you. Might be the last time.
I love you.
So I love you too, bud.
Thanks.
So that being said, we're going to get out of here. You guys, thanks for tuning in to Northwest Dirt News here on Spreaker Radio in the Jetstream Aqua Massage Studio. You guys have a great week. We'll catch up with you at a racetrack in the Northwest. God bless. Good night.
Good night.
Hi, I'm Corey with my wife Sandy. We'd like to invite you to Jetstream Aqua Massage. At Jetstream, you get a quality massage, nobody touches you, and you don't get wet. Best of all, it's only $1 per minute. Come see what it's all about.
I've been coming in here about 3 times a week for the last 6 months, and it's just a whole new world when I walk out of here. I highly recommend this place. $20 for 20 minutes, unbeatable.
I like coming to Jetstream Aqua Massage because after a long day in the gym for cheerleading, my aches and pains are gone. I'm very relaxed. It's just a very good feeling.
I get my mom 10 minutes every week after the aqua massage. When she comes out, she's just in better spirits, I think. She just feels better.
I've been coming in here about 3 times a week for the last 6 months, and it's just a whole new world when I walk out. I sleep easier at nights when I get my massages. I don't pass them up.